What if I told you that by the end of this video, you will never, ever again deal with what people call self-sabotage without knowing exactly why it is that you are doing what you're doing? Because here is the truth, my friends, self-sabotage does not exist. It is a lie. And we're going to talk about the only 4 things that could ever stand in the way of you having exactly what it is that you want. Okay? So people talk about self-sabotage. Let's come up with an example scenario of this. A self-sabotage example could be like somebody experiences a flash in the pan success. Maybe they inherit some money. Maybe they call in that thing they've been wanting for so long and it slips through their fingers. They can't hold on to it. They don't know why they keep cutting themselves back down. And this can show up in so many ways, so many shapes, so many forms. And here's the thing, we all do it to some degree because we all have an upper limit of what we think we can have. And we're gonna dive into that. Now, before we go into this video, we're gonna talk a lot about 2 things, self-worth and nervous system regulation, because those are 2 key ingredients in overcoming what people think is self-sabotage. And to help you with this, I just created a 40-minute guided breathwork journey called the Self-Worth Journey. You can grab it right below this video, and I think you're gonna absolutely love it because almost a decade of suffering could have been solved so much quicker if I knew how to get to the subconscious faster, and that's exactly what that audio is designed to help you do using the power of your breath. Okay, so let's dive in. Self-sabotage, we all do this to some degree, and we will all keep doing it because we will keep finding new areas outside of our comfort zone that are going to call us to become greater versions of ourselves that we haven't become yet. So sometimes we default back to our old habits and our old selves, and that's just the way that it is. But we're gonna use this little dot here to represent something that you want, okay? So we'll call this a desire. And I want you to think of something that you have not been able to call in yet, okay? Whether that's a new relationship, whether that is a greater level of financial abundance or physical healing or whatever it is, okay? And I'm gonna show you what's keeping you from having this thing. So this line right here is gonna represent your normal life, okay? And your normal life is full of things that you are used to having. It's important to understand that this desire, especially at the start, is going to be created largely with your conscious mind. It's going to exist first as an idea, right? You're going to have a thought, oh, I want this thing, I want to move to this place, I want to make this much money, whatever it is. But here's the problem, and this is what trips a lot of people up, okay? Is that you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And if you don't know how to get your desire and your information clearly to the subconscious, you're gonna keep hitting the same walls over and over and over again because you're working at a very surface level. You're not working at the root, right? So when you set a goal or you place an intention for something that you want, that's great, but that information has to make it from here into here, and we're gonna talk about how to do that towards the end of this video. Okay, so I want you to understand that a lot of the time when you set a goal, it rests in your conscious mind, which controls 5% of your reality, and then you wonder why it doesn't show up. It's not rocket science, okay? Now, here's a typical process for a lot of people when they try to create a desire. This is what we would call normal, but more importantly, this is what we would call safe. You know, this is safe zone. This is all good in here. We're totally fine in here. Anything that exists within our known perception of reality is considered safe, okay? But your desire is up here. So what happens is you start out here, maybe you learn some skills, maybe you get close to having a breakthrough, and you get right to this line here and you start to feel something, okay? And this is where a lot of people quit. You start to feel resistance. So resistance can show up in a heck of a lot of ways. And if you can't notice it, then it's going to be very confusing because you're like, why is the gap so big between the thing that I want and like what I'm actually doing. And you'll know that both of these are on board, both parts of your brain and your body and your nervous system are on board when your daily actions match up with the thing you say you want. A lot of people say they want to get fit, but they do not go to the gym. A lot of people say they want to get rich, but they binge watch Netflix or they doom scroll TikTok or whatever it is. All of this is just resistance, and I'm going to show you why that starts to show up, okay? The reason for that is, and really the reason for what people call self-sabotage, okay? It's not self-sabotage, it's self-protection, okay? Because anything that exists up here, that poor 2 million-year-old part of your brain that has not really evolved that much since we lived in a cave and anything outside the cave was death or potential death, that part of your brain still sees this as potential threat, potential death. So what happens here is that you feel resistance, and that survival part of your brain starts to pull you back down. Why? Not because it doesn't like you, because it loves you. And it wants to protect you from anything that could hurt you. It sees and feels that you're starting to leave the nest. You're starting to leave the known reality of your redundant thoughts and habits and beliefs and actions that you repeat every single day. Most people's months are literally just 30 carbon copy versions of the exact same day, despite their intentions or their desires, which is exactly why you're watching this video. So then what happens here is you start to dip down and you start to return to your comfort zone. But then that starts to get kind of uncomfortable too, because you're like, oh my God, I'm back in my same habits, but I don't actually like it here. I want to be up here. I can't figure out why I can't get to here to here. Okay, I'm gonna try. And this is where people will say like, I'm gonna give it everything I have. I'm gonna try really hard. They'll be like, oh, I'm making some progress. Yes, I'm finally about to do it. But then what comes back in again? So then they quit. So then you quit. You're like, oh, and then we make up crazy stories. Like, it's the universe showing me I'm not supposed to have that thing. I lost all my money here. Okay, well, that's the universe showing me that I'm not meant to have the thing that I want. And it's a load of shit. It's not true. It's a story that your survival brain is coming up with to try to convince you to stay in here. The reason it wants you to stay in here because it sees everything in here as increased odds of survival. How do we flip the script? We need to learn how to get into here. And when you get into here, you are going to go like this so fast, you're not even going to stop here. You're going to keep going. This is all of a sudden going to feel like a stepping stone. It's not going to feel like the end product, the finish line, okay? Only thing you need to get your subconscious mind on board with is that the desire is also safe. So I talked about 4 things that could hold people back from having what it is that they want, okay? So there's 4 things to ask yourself, and then we're going to talk about actual modalities to do this. I don't want to just give you some theory. I spent years and years and years watching videos about theory, and I'd be so excited. I'd be like, what do I actually do? What do I actually do to change? I don't like the scenario. How do I change the scenario? I don't want to just watch more YouTube videos. And by the way, YouTube videos, this one included, are useless if you do nothing with the information. Okay, so the first question to ask is it safe? Do I feel safe having this thing? People talk about like, oh, I want to double my income and these are all the ways I'm going to do it, and I'm going to build this sales funnel and add this order bump and increase my customer LTV and all these things. They never stop to ask themselves if they actually feel like their vessel could hold the thing they're trying to call in. So they keep doing this, and then they keep coming up with weird stories as to why they can't break through. Is it safe? Okay, that's a great question to ask. Does it go against my own, and this is a tricky one because your brain will lie to you about this a lot. Your conscious mind will say like, yeah, obviously I deserve this. But again, we're not trying to play on the level of the 5%. We're trying to play on the level of the 95%. This is where change happens. Trust me, when this part of your brain and your body, your nervous system, your whole being is on board, you're gonna notice, because action starts to become automatic. Like, it's going to drive you towards the thing. It's going to be a heat-seeking missile. That reticular activating system in your brain that filters in things that line up with what you show it and what you tell it to, it is going to go to work for you 24/7. It will blow your mind. You'll be like, I don't know what's going on. I just am all in on this thing that I said I want to do, whether it's fitness, whether it's your business or YouTube channel or whatever it is. I don't care. I just want you to have what you want to have, okay? Third thing, and this is a big one, does it go against my beliefs and my identity? This is huge because beliefs exist in the subconscious and they're largely formed in childhood. So we wonder why we do the things we do, but we never stop to think, like, did I inherit this belief? What did I watch growing up? Like, there's a lot of layers to this. But when your conscious desire is in opposition to your belief system, don't be surprised if you keep hitting this invisible wall, right? This invisible ceiling that seems like you just cannot get through it, no matter how hard you try. When you start to get the information in here and this becomes perceived as safe, you're not gonna feel like you're trying hard. Now, here's a huge one. And I think that a lot of people do so much useless mindset work. They do their affirmations and they do all these silly things. They never stop to ask themselves, like, do I have the skill set to get me there? Like, the skill set that gets you from zero to, say, $10,000 a month is not the same skill set that would get you from $10,000 to $100,000 a month or whatever it is, right? So a lot of the time people think they have a mindset problem. They think there's something wrong with them. They're missing a skill set. They're missing a foundational set of knowledge and beliefs that are going to drive them towards the thing that they want. Now, what do you actually do? This is probably the most important part of this whole entire video. And again, if you want to roll a lot of this into one, I would suggest doing the self-worth journey. You're gonna have some veil pulled off where you go, oh my gosh, that, I was keeping myself safe. It's your brain's job is to keep you safe, okay? Now, I'm gonna introduce you to what I call the regulation triangle. I have spent so many thousands of hours and dollars refining this because I always came up against one issue with modalities. They didn't work fast enough. I don't want to wait a long time. I wanted things to happen quickly, okay? There are 3 core modalities that get you from the conscious to the subconscious so that action becomes automatic. Your results start to become inevitable. You're not surprised. It doesn't feel like a stroke of luck when things land in your lap. It feels natural. So one of my favorite modalities, I became certified in this in 2019, is EFT, also referred to as emotional freedom techniques or tapping. What this does is works directly with the fight or flight centers in your brain. And it is like cranking down the volume knob on the survival mechanism, going, hey, whoa, look, we don't need to stay in here. This is actually okay. In fact, this is better than all of this stuff. We don't like it down here anymore. I like this. This is safe. I'm gonna go for this all the time, okay? This is great because it's fast, it's fairly passive, and you can do it, you can self-administer it. You don't have to wait 7 days between therapy sessions or talking about your problems or whatever it is, okay? Another one that I love that will really give you access to your subconscious mind and information that exists way beyond your 5 senses, which so much of what we think is real is so not solid. We just perceive it to be that way. But there is another world, if you will, where you can access information, you can receive information that'll make you go, oh, that's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. And those ideas will whisper until they scream. The last one, and this would be the last thing that I would suggest you learn out of these 3, because it's going to take you the longest to get really good at, is meditation. Meditation allows you to drop from your conscious into your subconscious mind. It allows you to get into the operating system where you can then go install new information through things like mental rehearsal. Understand, this needs to take place. And when the time comes and the idea lands, I am not trying to put you in some illusion that you're going to do nothing and it's going to land right in your lap. That might happen sometimes. Treat those as bonus experiences. You are going to take massive action. You are going to do things that scare you, and you're going to do things that put you outside of your familiarity zone. The last 6 letters in the law of attraction are action. Do not get it twisted. These concepts changed a heck of a lot for me. From the dark night of the soul, from the bottom of the basement, to what I would consider a very good life, and I want the same for you. So again, you can download the Self-Worth Journey right below this video. I want you to leave a comment. What are you creating? What is it that you're calling into your life? Or what are you uncreating? What are you like, I'm done with this. Time is up. I'm not doing this thing anymore. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.